Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to Incorrect Fan Fiction. So, I know it's been a while since I have made a video, like at all. I'm sorry about that, just life's been crazy, real quick, subscribe, bell icon, you guys know what that means. Moving on. So, today's subject is Descendants 3. The reason why it's the third one, well, it's more of the Descendants movie series. I'll explain a little bit. So, let's start off with the character I have created for the series. I call him Vulture. Vulture is the son of Dr. Shadow Man, basic picture of him. You guys know who he is if you know his name better than I do. So, at least in my story, he has a son, but in the Descendants series, he has a daughter. I'll explain how his story goes throughout the series. So, let's start off then. We'll start from the very beginning, and we'll watch Vulture's life as it goes through the movie series. But let's start before then. This is when Mal is... Alright, Mal, if you guys don't know who Mal is, she's the Dark Maleficent. She's about 6 or 8 at this point, and so, however, Vulture is about 10, I would say, at this point, and, if you have seen the movie series, I should actually catch you up on that. I'll explain on the way. So, basically, if you have, seen the movie series at all, you know that most, all the villains and the sidekicks got moved on to the Isle of the Lost, where there was a magic dome over it that had no magic, no internet, and no something else. I can't remember the other thing. But, Isle of Lost. I'm putting so much work for me. Okay, so basically, during this time, Vulture Felicity somehow had a small amount of magical powers inside the dome, and his father, being the good father he is, knew this would be a pretty big thing if anyone else found out besides him and his son. So he told his son to don't use your magic unless it's just with me. Or by yourself where you know no one else is watching. And that worked for quite a while until one day, while Mal and Maleficent were walking past, I believe it's the amusement park. I'm not quite sure what Felicity's place is. I'll probably look up later. So basically, Vulture, he thought no one was looking, so he used his magic to move some heavier things that he couldn't lift up to higher shelves. However, Mal saw him do these things, and so she goes over to confront him, and she's like really, at this point, she's like really influenced by her mother wanting power and taking over the kingdom and everything, and by any means, she'll do it. So, by leading from her mother's example, the only way she thought she could take it is by, taking the power away by killing him. So she started beating him up. He tried his best to stop, but there was nothing that could be done. She punched off this part of his skull off, and the magical energy flew out of Vulture's body and into Mal. However, when she tried using it, just didn't work. It just seemed non-compatible to her. And a little sad and ashamed because this was one of her first friends and she took advantage of him and killed him. She quickly ran and away and went to her mother, but she never told her mother any of this. And neither does her friends know, if you don't know who that is. That's Jay, Marcos, and her best friend Evie. Probably should mention who they're from. Jay is the son of Jafar, Marcus, yeah, maybe. Oh, please hope I'm saying this right. So, Marcus, whatever his name is, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, and is the son of, Cruella de Vil, and Evie is the daughter of, the Evil Queen. So, as the series goes on, but, after, like, maybe an hour or so, after, Mal killing Vulture, Felicity found his son dead on the ground with his skull plate just a little ways away from him. And he was just devastated by finding his son's body like this. So he begged his friends on the other side, which somehow still worked in the Magic Dome for whatever reasons. He doesn't know, but it worked. He begged them to bring his son back to life. He didn't care what the cost was. He just wants his son back. Now, they said they'll do it. However, there's one small price. They take away every memory that he has ever had of having his son. He agrees, and they bring him back. The skull plate goes back, and one of the friends of the other side went into him to give him life again. And like that, he was gone from Felicity's mind, but they couldn't erase him having a child completely, so instead they gave him a daughter. I'm sorry if I can't remember her name at the moment. Here's a picture if that helps. Probably put a name on that too. Yeah, so he tries to tell him, I'm your son, but he doesn't understand. He doesn't know who he is, and out of frustration and sadness, he breaks off one of his father's cane toppers and just runs away crying and goes underground. Later on, time has passed. He is still on the island, but during his sort of, exile, self-enclosed exile, I guess, he met a fellow reject of the rejects, which is a very weird thing to have, but yeah. So Vulture met Tick, and Tick is also another character I forgot to mention. She is the daughter of the Tick-Tock Croc. If you don't remember him, he was the crocodile that had a clock in his head and always went after Captain Hook. However, she was a lot different from any other bad guy's parents. She's half alligator, half human. Half human. So she's a alligator hybrid, you could say. And they just been sticking out by themselves because no one wants them, and they're just sort of kind of have to deal with this sort of situation. And during the time, he also managed to put up masks throughout the island where they can show Vulture or what's going on in the city. In the island, I mean, sorry. As time moves on the day of the first Descendants movie starts, where Prince Edward, I think his name is. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've watched these movies. But, so yeah, that's the day when he picks out a few of the villain's descendants and send them to Oradon. If you don't know what Oradon is, that's the kingdom in which Beauty and the Beast made their kingdom out of all the other fairy tale kingdoms. So, so they go to the school, and during that time, Vulture managed to overhear Maleficent's plan to escape when Mal brings back the magic wand and breaks down the barrier. So, during the time of the movie, he gathers ingredients that he found from an old spell book he found. He found an old spell book with a spell that allows him and Tick to leave the dome, but he knew it wouldn't work unless the dome was lowered, and now he knows. So he gets all the ingredients together, And during the time where the coronation happens and the dome is partially exposed for a little while, and Maleficent went out, so did Vulture and Tick by using the potion. They sort of snuck behind Maleficent as she was leaving the dome. However, their trajectory was a little different than Maleficent's, where she landed right where she wanted to. They didn't land exactly where they wanted to. They landed sort of in the rafters of where, it's not a steeple, I think it's a church, I don't know what it is. But the coronation place or whatever. So they managed to land in the rafters, and Vulture gets an idea in his head. When he remembered that Maleficent was going to use the wand and her staff to control both sides of the scale, he got an idea. If she fails, he could possibly succeed. So, when she turns into the giant dragon during the thing... Oh, by the way, spoilers. I probably should have put that in the very beginning. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm surprised if no one... But whatever. So, yeah. She turns into the dragon, however, most people didn't know, I made this up in the story, is that her staff sort of goes into a different place where she doesn't need it. So what happened is that Vulture broke off the staff, the top part of the staff, and the tip of the staff, and took out the core of it. However, he had magic again due to the person inside him, and created a sort of duplicate core. And he left it there, and now he has the part of Maleficent's staff and his father's cane topper, which is also a very powerful magical artifact, at least in my story it is. So, moving on. After that happens, the second movie starts, and there's just this whole commotion. Mal's having second thoughts about being a villain, being a good guy. I mean, sorry. Like I said, it's been a while. So, she goes back to the isle, but during this time, when she's trying to take care of Uma, Vulture actually did switch out the two wands. Well, not switch out. He took off the tip of the wand and then replaced the tip with his magic and put it back. You're probably wondering how that did that. It was a whole heist thing. It sort of scared off the guard a lot, where he kind of jumped into a lake. Now, sorry. I'm getting a little off topic. Off topic. That sounds like a knockoff store of Hot Topic, does it not? But, yeah. After he manages to get the tip, he realized he needed one last thing. He can't just simply crazy glue these three powerful magical artifacts together. He needed one thing powerful enough to fuse them all together. Hades' flame. And this is where we get into the third movie. However, in the proceedings, it replaces the whole third movie instead of the third movie, I guess. So he gets to the island with somehow, I'm not quite sure, it's either the motorcycle or the limo that he sort of tagged along. And you're probably wondering why he was doing this time, making all this magical, powerful magic stuff. He posed as a student, and he had his girlfriend, he calls her, and Tick looks regularly like a human, and he looks like a regular Ordonian boy. So they passed off as students for a while, while they hatched their plan. Ha ha ha. So they get to the island and find Hades' lair, because if you aren't aware from the third movie, Felicity's daughter knows very well where Hades' lair is, because she does errands for him. But that was also meaning that Vulture also had that same job, but at an earlier age. And that's sort of how it went. So he got in there. He knew he couldn't take the Hades' flame away from Hades, because it would just be a very bad day for him. So what he did instead is he held the objects above him while he was sleeping and fused them together, and then he quickly got out. Hades woke up just as he was leaving and saw Tick's tail as they were leaving. He didn't take much notice to it at first until he started hearing news on mainland where something bad was going down. But we'll get back to him in a minute. So, we're now about to reveal the evil plot. So first, he has Tick go over the loudspeaker, telling it's an emergency meeting for all students, faculty, and teachers. There's to go to, what's the thing called? The field, the sport that they do. The one with, I'm sorry if I'm really spacing. Their sports event that they do, the tourney field, I think they called it. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, to everyone meet at the tourney field. So basically, everyone showed up. There's this big curtain in the middle of the field, and Vulture and Tick decided to sit in the stands to make it seem like they're not involved quite yet. So once everyone gets there, they get up and walk down. And of course, there's outbursts like, "What's the meaning of this? Why are you here?" And they pull back the curtain. There's 3 chairs. So, Vulture says like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Let us introduce ourselves." And then like sort of this magically tornado, like you would see in most villain reveals. He revealed his actual self as Vulture Felicity and his girlfriend Tick. Sorry. So yeah, he reveals, "I am Vulture Felicity," and then all of a sudden there's this weird break. Like it seemed like a symbol was around him and then it just broke and there was a huge boom. No one was quite sure, not even Vulture or Tick knew what that was, but they didn't care at the moment. And they, like, everyone's sort of a little bit panicky because villains on here, and why are we all gathered here? So like he says like, don't worry, I'm not gonna kill anyone, at least not yet. So he has everyone sit down with his powers. And it's like, why? And then like one, I can't remember his name, Chad, maybe, I don't know, Prince Charming's son on the Smart Alex, like, "Why should we listen to you? You're a villain." And then he like takes a pen, but it's actually the staff. He throws it up and it turns into his cane. And it's like, this is why. And then he whipped out the magic cane and zapped him, and he turned into a frog. It's like, are there any other questions? Everyone sort of shut up very quickly, and Mal's sort of having a small breakdown because she thought he was dead. And so she's just trying to avoid eye contact. And like, eventually Evie's like, "Why are you doing this? Villains and good guys can be friends." And it's like, I don't care. I am taking over because I was hurt, and so everyone else will be hurt. And it's like, and of course Evie, having a gentle heart, asks like, "Who hurt you?" And then he pointed with his cane, her. And they looked at the cane where it's pointed, and it's at Mal. He's like, "Come here, we'll show you why." So she goes up in the air, she tries to turn into a dragon. She does for a few seconds, and it's like, no, bad girl. And it's sort of like a magic whip snapped on her nose, and then she turned back into a human. He threw her into a chair. It's like, why don't we show these people why I'm so bent on takeover? Shall we, Mal? How, my old friend? And everyone's a little gasp and still really confused why he's saying all this stuff about Mal. So, he points to her with the staff, and then all of a sudden, sort of this thought bubble shows up, and it's like showing her seeing everyone. It's like, I'm sorry, this is too recent. Let's back it up. So he just swipes to the left, and it just keeps scrolling. Just, here we are. So he stops right before Mal kills Vulture. He's like, for a little bit of context, she's 8, I'm 10. And on the Isle of the Lost, he plays the memory and showing that she killed Vulture, her, and seeing the magical aura come off of him and go into her, and then ran away. Everyone sort of gasped and shocked at this. And, so yeah, they're just completely shocked that Mal could do such evil things. Like, they knew she was a villain's kid, but she never knew she killed a person. Because not many villains actually had that credit. But yeah, so after he said that, everyone started yelling and shouting at Mal because they're really upset that she did this to this poor dude. And everyone has the right to. And Tick was sort of aware of the thing, but she never actually saw it firsthand. And so she was a little teared up and was like, how could you do this to my boyfriend? And it's like, Mal's just like playing with Vulture, like, please don't hurt them. They didn't do anything towards you. And he looks at Mal with a very sort of kind but evil look. It's like, why, my dear, what did I ever do about hurting these poor innocent people? Well, I'm just gonna do to them what you did to me all those years ago. And in his mind, Mal was the one that made his dad forget all about him. And so he looks at the audience. Everyone's really mad and angry, shouting, sad. And is like, all right, everyone, forget it. So he snaps his fingers, and everyone's like, you could see like Mal and all the memories just floating away from their heads. And then like they're kind of confused but scared still because they know what the proceedings are happening. It's like, what? So don't hurt us, don't hurt us. And he does something to check. It's like, do you know who this girl is? And like she looks at everyone and like everyone's just shaking their heads like, no, we haven't seen her. And then he casts her into a bubble floating above the whole audience. And she's just sort of silently crying, and yeah, she's just really down that she's ashamed of what she did. But Vulture could care less because he was really bent on revenge. So he takes control of the Oradon very quickly. He and everything seems to go his way for about a week or so. And like about halfway through a week, it's like, oh, right, the barrier. So he snaps his cane towards the aisle, and the barrier went down. And then the bridge connected, like in Descendants 3. And all the villains are coming on, and he sort of facilitates all the villains, and now Hades is starting to make the connection, like, oh, that's who I saw. So he hatched a plan. He got Dr. Facility, his father, here to help him. At first he denied ever having a son because he still believes that he never had one. And like he's trying to help him remember, and then all of a sudden it just comes to him. It's like, wait, I do have a son. And he sort of tears up because he realized he made his son live without a father, basically. So yeah. He realized that maybe that decision he made those years ago wasn't the best decision he could have made at that moment. No doubt. But, so yeah, he realized, like, we have to stop him. He's gonna try and destroy everything. But they realize they're too weak on their own. And they sort of help everyone start remember things about Mal, and they sort of get over the fact that she killed somebody. And they realize they still don't have enough power to take down the Vulture. her and Tick. And Tick is starting to see these slow changes that Vulture's becoming a lot more evil. And not the same man that she grew up with on the Isle. So she's starting to think, okay, maybe I should help so I can get my boyfriend back to me. They conspire together to bring back Maleficent, Mal's mom. She's very evil, but I don't think she would stand for someone else dictating over her. So they agreed to let her come back just to help, and then she'll be sent back to as a lizard. And she agrees, and she comes back, and surprisingly, the shield on the dome actually protected all the inhabitants on the Isle that Mal is a person still. So they join together and keep fighting until Felicity finally showed up, and Vulture sort of had a small breakdown. He's just really sad because he hasn't seen his dad in so long and just so frustrated. And he keeps fighting, but he's still fighting the tears as well. Hell, from just this emotion he's been getting. And he's like, it was my fault, it wasn't yours. I was the one that made me forget. And so he stopped everything that he was doing and sent to back where he was. And it was just sort of crying and holding his dad because he finally remembers him again. And Tick is hugging both of them because she's glad to have her boyfriend back to normal. And then there was a big discussion, like, should we punish him for this? And Mal says, like, let's just forgive him. It was my fault. If anyone needed to go to prison, it would be me. So the movie ends, well, my story ends with Vulture finally having his dad back, his girlfriend, and all that he could ever want again. Or ever. Her and Mal learned that you shouldn't hide secrets from her best friends. Well, that's the end of my story. I'm sorry if it got a little dark at the end, or sad. I'm not quite sure how to put it. But yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I did, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.